Happy Thursday, it's Miss Quinlan here with the lesson today that some of us got to work on the week of Dr. Seuss week when we talked about these little tunnels. It's called Op Art, stands for optical illusion. We worked on these and most of us got to use the markers and make the pattern that Dr. Seuss was big on. So I was going to go ahead and reteach this lesson today, and then that way we can go on and do the same technique and maybe make different kind of tunnels for the next project. So get your markers ready. We started with I used a black Sharpie. If you don't have a Sharpie, you may use a regular Crayola marker, a crayon, pencil, anything works with that. The first thing we will do, your paper, and I'm going to turn it this way so you can see it better. Your paper goes this way. Let's see which way is better. All right. So reviewing, we have horizontal, like the horizon. So we're going to have the long paper, the horizon, the long edge going along the desk or the table by you. Vertical would be up and down. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a slight curved line from the left side to the right side. We don't want too many hills and curves, just a little bit of a wave. When you get that done, you're going to use your marker and you're going to place dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 I placed here. They don't have to be exactly even. The more dots you put, the more tunnels you would have. I would start with 4, maybe 5, and then you can work up to the other ones. After you place your tunnels, and remember you can pause the video at any time and catch up. I'm moving straight forward to save us a little bit of time uploading to my YouTube, which then goes to my Google. All right, so once we have our dots here in place, we're going to imagine that a ball is coming from the left side of your paper and is bouncing. It's bouncing from the edge of the paper to each dot. 1, 2, and you're just going to make these not too large, but not too small, going across your line in the middle of the horizon. After you finish that, you can do it again on the bottom, okay? You're going to imagine the ball bounces from this left side, and then you're just going to go from each one of the dots off the page. Now, this is actually what we have at this point is going to make our tunnels. So this one will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tunnels. If we look at our finished project here, let me turn it this way. If you look very closely, you can see this line here and then the dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So each one of these dots, which is going to make this little curve shape, is going to be the center of the tunnel. Okay, and from there we'll just build on. Now, what's important to remember from this point, we are going to be starting at whichever tunnel you would like to start with, and you start at the dots. Thinking of it like, I'm going to move this one so you can see this being one tunnel. We're going to start at each one of these dots. If you think about it like these are the ears and you're putting on headphones, and each time you're building your tunnel, you want to start at that dot, back to the dot. We're not making a rainbow, okay? So if you look at this one from the dot, and yours, I guess, is going to be, let's see, that's right. These dots, you're going to build up each time, kind of like you're stacking chairs. This line here on the outside, that's what's going to give you the optical illusion. So that's what we want to remember to come back to these dots. We do not want it to be like this, where we would think of a rainbow is getting wider each time. This one, if the tunnel is getting wider this way, it's fine, but basically you're building up. Okay. All right, so when we start with these dots, or like if you think about your headphones going back ear to ear. Now, as we get larger, as you grow taller this way vertically, you're not going to be able to keep going back to this dot. But as long as you keep it on this black line, if you notice here, this black line is what, and you're going to go all the way until you can't reach any further, okay? The black line is actually what's going to take you up. So if you look at this one, we're going to build here, like we're stacking the chairs. And the fun part here is you can kind of turn it. Once you can turn and make these go a different direction, or you can come back this way. As long as you're working from that same vanishing point, really, it's right here. All this is all the same. Then you would go to the next one. Now, when you finish the next one, you want to make sure that this one is going to start here. It's going to go back to this dot, but you also have to keep in mind this black line that's running this way, because we don't want to have a space in between them. So you want to keep this line running the neighbor's line, but it's all going back. So you can see where this is and this is. It's all going back to the same curved area. It's almost like a little indentation where, and if you get here, like I have a little bit of space right here up at the top, so you can just, from that line, curve it whichever way you want it to go, okay? You'll keep repeating this at the top. You'll keep repeating this at the bottom until you get it finished. When you look here, you can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tunnels, because when I started, I had 6 of those going across, okay? So you can use any materials. You can use crayons, you can use markers, you can use colored pencils. For this one, and I'll show you this in just a minute, we worked a little bit on shading on this one. On this first one, like we did the week of Dr. Seuss, we just did the Dr. Seuss pattern of color in white. You do not have to do it just like I have done it. Use your imagination, be creative. You can use complementary colors, colors that are beside each other on the color wheel, like purple and yellow, not beside, across from each other. Yellow and purple, blue and orange, red and green. Complementary colors would be great. If you want to use markers. Now, if you want to take it a step further, this one, I used crayons. Color pencils probably would be the best to do some shading. So the way we shade is, let me take one of these. Let's say I'm starting here with green. Okay, if you're getting ready to shade in a tunnel, you can pick 2 colors to be, for the tunnel, or you can do, leave 1 white, however you would like to do it. But the shading makes it look even more optical, the illusion, because where the curve would be. To do any kind of shading, you would start on the outside edges, and you would color as dark as you could on the outside. Then you would work up, the next shade would be a little bit lighter, a little bit softer green, and then the middle would be the lightest. So if you can see that, I've gone from the outside being the darkest, the next shade moving in a little lighter green, a little lighter, till where you barely have any. Let me do one more for you. So we're going to do it the darkest on the outsides, okay? Then this middle, we're going to do it a little bit lighter. We're still coloring a little bit lighter in, kind of blending it. And then that middle, you're just barely going to color it. Gives it a little illusion, a little bit, makes the curve even, makes it look even more like a curve. Now, you could also do this with black. This one's great. Another thing is, this is really neat if you do it in black and white. Okay, so that might be one of your options too, or gray and white, or black and gray. So let me show you, let me do this middle one. I'm going to do it really dark on the edges. Then I'm going to move a little lighter on the inside. And then in the middle, just barely coloring the middle, which gives you that look. Let me do one more. Dark on the outsides, on the edges. I always work outside in. A little bit lighter here. And then very light in the middle. All right, boys and girls, so there's your first assignment on op art, optical illusion, making these little tunnels. You can make as many or as few as you want, depending on that beginning. When you make your horizon line, that little bit of a wave, you're making however many dots you put there will be however many tunnels you have. When you get to the end, if you don't have it, if you have where it curves down, just keep curving. Always go back to that black line. Notice here on this orange one, this one messed up a little bit. It's okay. It's art. I'm not going to throw the whole thing away because it's art and I'm proud of it. Okay, so when you get down here, just do what you can to fix it. Move on. All right, send me your pictures. I can't wait to see them. Bye.